Welcome to the deep dive. You send us the sources you're curious about, and we dig in, pull out the key insights.
Yeah, so you can get informed, but, without all the overwhelm.
Exactly. It's like your shortcut to understanding what really matters.
So today we're diving into this YouTube audiobook. It's called Never Tell People What You Do, Focus in Silence When in Public from Audiobook Zone.
Right. One of you wanted to explore sort of the core ideas for hitting goals, for finding success effectively.
Hmm.
And this source, it really zeroes in on something quite powerful, doesn't it? This idea of like silent work, internal progress.
Yeah, letting the results do the talking. It's a fascinating angle.
And it's perfect if you're someone who wants that knowledge quickly, those aha moments,
Yeah.
but wants to skip feeling swamped.
Definitely. Our mission here is really to pull out those practical, actionable bits for you.
Okay, let's get into it then. The audiobook starts strong, right, with this line. The most powerful move you'll ever make is the one nobody sees coming. What do you think about that as an opener?
Oh, it's a great hook
Mm.
because, well, it immediately makes you question that impulse we all have to, like, broadcast everything we plan to do.
Right. We love talking about our big plan.
Exactly. And think about it when you talk about a goal before you've really, done much. It almost feels like you've achieved something already.
Like a shortcut to the good feeling.
Precisely. There's this psychological thing where just saying the goal out loud gives you a little dopamine hit, a premature sense of accomplishment, which paradoxically can actually make you less motivated to do the actual hard yards. Your brain kind of thinks, job done, just from the chat.
That makes total sense. It's like getting the applause before the performance. So the audiobook's pushing back hard on that, saying real progress happens when?
In the quiet. Through that consistent, often unseen, unglamorous effort. It's about the actual building, brick by brick, no audience needed.
Hmm.
It puts a lot of weight on this phrase, closing your mouth and getting serious about your life.
I like how direct that is. It's not wishy-washy. It's about making a real internal decision, isn't it? Shifting from talking mode to doing mode.
Yes. And it stresses that you don't need anyone's okay. No permission slip required to chase your own goals.
Right. No validation needed, no cheering squad necessary to just start.
Exactly. The focus has to be internal. Your drive, your vision. The audiobook points out, and it's probably true for a lot of us, that people spend way more time talking about doing stuff than actually, well, doing it.
It's easier, isn't it? Talking feels safe, maybe. Less daunting than the actual work.
Could be. So the audiobook advocates for a pretty clear shift,
Which is,
moving from constantly sharing to consistently fixing. Instead of telling everyone the plan, figure out what needs work and just quietly start tackling it. And that naturally means, cutting out the noise, the distractions that pull you away.
and a big part of that is not feeling like you owe people an explanation for what you're aiming for.
Absolutely. Your life, your goals, they're yours, period.
It's interesting, too, how it mentions that most people, they just won't get it. They won't understand your level of focus or why you're being quiet.
And that's okay. That's a key message. Your journey is yours. You're building for you, not for likes or approval.
Right.
And there's real power accumulating in that silence. Strength grows when you're just plugging away unseen. It's the doing, not the talking about doing, that builds something real.
It sounds like it really pushes for some honest self-reflection, too. Like asking yourself the hard questions. How am I spending my time? Are my habits actually helping?
Totally. It warns about trading real power, the power of progress, for that temporary comfort you get from just talking about it. It's about taking your goals, your time, your future seriously.
And respect. It's not something you get by announcing things.
No, it's earned,
Huh.
but building something worth respecting. And that means, showing up day after day, improving the smaller things, building that discipline, not skipping the steps just because they're hard or boring.
So wrapping up this first big idea, the message is basically shut up, get serious, do the work, and eventually people will see the results and wonder how.
And the answer will be simple. You just focused. In silence.
Okay, let's move to the next core theme. This idea of working quietly on your goals every single day. What's the essence of this one?
It's about making that consistent, quiet, daily effort the absolute foundation of any real change. The audiobook argues progress really kicks in when you stop waiting for motivation to hit you.
Which never lasts anyway.
Exactly. And instead, you just show up with discipline. Day in, day out, no big show, just doing it.
It tackles that common problem, right? Wanting the big results without wanting to do the sometimes tedious groundwork.
Absolutely. Being consistent, even when it's not
Yeah.
thrilling, even when nobody's noticing or clapping, that sustained effort without the need for external pats on the back, that's where the real transformation happens.
So it's about treating your goals like they matter every single day, not just on the days you feel good or inspired.
Precisely. Life tends to reward the grinders, you know? Those who put in the time consistently, even when it's tough or feels slow.
Hmm.
It encourages finding your own rhythm, tweaking your daily routines to make space for that work, and just starting, even if it's tiny steps at first.
So it's that quiet daily commitment that really separates people.
That's the argument. The real winners are often the ones just quietly getting on with it, getting a little better each day without needing to shout about it.
And these big changes, they don't happen overnight. They build up over time through that unseen effort.
Yes, exactly. And again, the focus is internal. Build it for yourself, not to impress anyone.
It also talks about staying focused on the why, right? Having that deep personal reason, not just wanting external approval.
Crucial. You need something to keep you going when it inevitably gets hard. A crowd won't do that, but your own why will. And thinking long term, resisting that urge for instant gratification.
Right, because building anything worthwhile takes time. It takes effort, maybe sacrifice.
It does. And the audiobook is honest about that. You can
Hmm.
be lonely sometimes. You'll have doubts.
Sure.
But pushing through that discomfort, that's where the growth is. You have to be okay with not being noticed for a while, with putting in work that no one sees, because eventually the results speak for
But it's
themselves.
not just blind effort, is it? It's about working smart, too.
Right. Using your time wisely,
Hmm.
having some kind of plan, even if it's just daily steps, and actually sticking to it. And it makes that key point about motivation fading.
Yeah, relying on motivation is a recipe for failure.
But discipline built through habits
Mm.
that carries you, and protecting your peace, your focus, by not feeling you have to justify your routine to everyone that's important too.
So this quiet work, it's ultimately for your own freedom and strength.
Exactly. And the pride you feel from that consistent, unseen effort, that builds real deep confidence. So when people finally do notice, their validation is like nice,
Yeah.
but not necessary.
Hmm.
You already know.
Okay, that leads nicely into the next point. Stopping the need to prove yourself and starting what really matters. What's the core shift here?
It's moving away from constantly seeking approval or understanding from others, and instead prioritizing your own genuine internal progress. The energy spent trying to be liked or understood or accepted. The audiobook argues that's energy not spent building your future.
It's a distraction,
A
basically.
huge distraction. It emphasizes the power of just quiet, steady, personal growth over needing everyone else to get you or approve of you.
It's easy to get caught up in looking the part, isn't it? Trying to seem successful instead of actually being successful.
That's exactly it. Trying to prove yourself keeps you stuck in this loop almost of seeking permission or recognition, and that just slows you down.
Mm.
The book says if you care more about being seen than about becoming better, you're likely to get stuck. You don't have to announce every little thing or win every debate or make sure everyone understands you.
So the real goal is internal improvement, fixing things, facing weaknesses through action, not just making noise about it.
Yes, so many people focus on the image, right? Looking like they're winning instead of doing the actual, often unglamorous work involved in winning. The audiobook really pushes you to break that pattern.
Stop trying to be impressive, start being effective.
Bingo. And doing what matters means cutting the fluff, getting serious about your time, looking hard at your daily habits and asking, does this actually serve my goals? And if not, changing them,
Because life doesn't wait. Your goals don't wait.
right? You either do the work or you don't. And it points out how people can waste years seeking respect from people who don't even matter, or making choices based on how things look instead of what works, avoiding the hard stuff.
And what really matters often looks like what
Yeah.
early mornings, saying no to things.
Yeah, often. Cutting comforts, sacrificing now for later. It requires clarity on your priorities and then, protecting them. No compromises, no excuses.
And when you stop trying to prove things to others, you free yourself up.
Totally. You start making calls based on your own standards, your own compass,
Yeah.
not what you think others want to see. That's where real strength comes from. Showing up for yourself. Growth means doing things differently, walking away from bad habits, focusing on results, not reactions, and being okay if people don't quite get it.
Taking your life seriously, with intention, recognizing your time and energy are valuable.
Yes. And when you stop needing to prove it to them, You finally get the chance to prove it to yourself through your actions, how you handle setbacks.
So what matters isn't the external thumbs up, but the life you build, the peace you earn, the confidence you develop.
Exactly. That's the real prize. Okay, next up, building habits without telling anyone. Why keep it secret?
Well, the audiobook makes a strong case that keeping new habits private actually helps you stick to them. It protects your focus and keeps the effort honest.
It suggests announcing them too early can kind of kill the motivation, right?
Yeah, that premature satisfaction thing again. You tell everyone you started meditating, get some praise.
And suddenly, the internal drive dips a bit because you got the reward already.
Exactly. It makes sense. Building habits is super personal. It's about those quiet repetitions day after day until it becomes part of who you are, not a performance piece.
So the doing strengthens the habit, not the talking about it.
Right. And keeping it quiet protects your energy. You don't have to explain yourself if you slip up. You just get back on track privately.
That makes sense, especially early on when you're still finding your feet with a new habit. It needs consistency, time, privacy.
Uh-huh.
Willpower is shaky at the start.
Uh-huh.
Talking about it opens the door to opinions, maybe doubts, distractions.
Yeah.
It can just kill the momentum.
Whereas keeping it to yourself means you're not performing.
Right. You don't have to prove anything. You're just showing up
Yeah.
quietly again and again. That's where the real change takes root.
It encourages improving parts of your life without posting about it, without bragging. Those private daily choices build self-respect. And it acknowledges, yeah, maybe some people notice you're changing. Maybe they seem a bit distant. That's okay. You're doing this for you.
And doing it privately builds self-trust, doesn't it? Keeping promises to yourself. That builds a deeper confidence than any external praise.
Absolutely. Discipline becomes part of you. It creates structure. You don't need to feel motivated every single day. And it comes back to doing the hard part when it's tough, when nobody's watching.
So the takeaway is, let your discipline show through your results. Let people wonder how you did it. You don't need to spell it out.
Exactly. Which brings us to taking action daily and saying nothing about it. How is that powerful?
Well, this is framed as like the ultimate differentiator. It separates those who truly want change from those who just like the idea of change.
Right. Quiet, consistent daily action. That builds results that speak way louder than any announcement.
Every day is a chance to move the needle, basically. Just
Yeah.
do it. Don't broadcast it. Yeah. You don't need a crowd. You don't need applause. You don't even need to tell people your plans for accountability. Real accountability is internal.
It's just showing up every day. Tired, bored, whatever. That's what creates change, not loud declarations.
Exactly. Real strength, the book argues, is doing the work when nobody sees, nobody praises, nobody's checking in. There's an internal power that builds when you act without needing a reaction.
You start trusting yourself more, connecting with your own process.
Precisely. You live by your choices quietly, focused, grounded. You don't need to explain your priorities to people who aren't on the same wavelength.
And every quiet action adds up, building discipline, building momentum.
Yes, and that momentum is intrinsic. It comes from within. The best progress often happens, behind the curtain, when no one's watching. Daily action builds structure. You rely on commitment, not fleeting feelings. It encourages staying away from distractions, from people who are all talk, and from that pressure to be loud about your journey.
The quieter the progress, the more real it is. The more silent the effort, the more solid the growth.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
And the core idea is that people who really change things, they believe in their decision and they just follow through quietly, honestly, daily. And when it gets tough, they don't complain or explain. They just keep going.
Okay, now, improving yourself in silence and trusting your pace. Why is that combo so important?
This is positioned as like the bedrock of lasting change. It's a personal process, steady, quiet, and crucially, it's not a race against anyone else. It's about your own intentional progress at your speed.
Which is hard in today's world, right? Everything feels so fast, so public, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind.
Totally. But the audiobook really emphasizes the only timeline that matters is yours. Silence protects that process. It gives you room to breathe, to reflect, to work without feeling judged or pressured. Growth isn't linear, right? It's messy. Some days you feel strong, other days uncertain. Giving yourself that private space to experience it all builds deeper strength.
So improving in silence means you care enough to stay focused, to build something real. And understanding it takes time.
Yeah, and patience. Find your rhythm. Trust the process. Don't try to force things. There's real peace in being grounded in your own journey, real power in showing up for yourself consistently at your pace.
And trusting your pace means respecting where you are now, recognizing small wins.
Exactly. So many people crash and burn because they try to change too fast, get discouraged when results aren't immediate. The winners, the book suggests, are patient, persistent.
Improving in silence also gives you control, doesn't it? Your motivation is internal, not dependent on attention.
Right. Consistent effort leads to those gradual but significant changes, even if they're not visible right away. You have to trust that your pace is the right pace for you.
Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now with what you have, at your speed, quietly.
That's the message. And you know improvement is happening when the actions become habits, when discipline feels normal. That shift happens in silence over time. If you stumble, just get back up, quietly. Resume your pace. No drama.
Okay, on to staying focused on your path and ignoring opinions. How do you actually do that?
Well, it's presented as the mindset that really protects your peace, sharpens your clarity, and keeps you aimed at your true goals. Because you just can't move forward effectively if you're constantly getting pulled left and right by what everyone else thinks.
Right. The noise can be overwhelming.
Exactly. People will always have opinions, questions, doubts, misunderstandings. It's just human nature.
So your job isn't to convince them all.
No, your job is to stay locked on your purpose and know that when you get serious about your life, you will face resistance, sometimes from yourself, often from others.
Hmm.
And if you slow down or change course just to make others comfortable, you lose momentum. You water down your own efforts.
So that internal clarity, knowing your why, that's your anchor against the opinions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's way more powerful than any outside voice. You don't owe explanations for choosing growth. You don't need to make sense to people who are standing still.
Staying focused means being selective about what you pay attention to.
Yes, protecting your mental energy, filtering the input, not getting sidetracked by every bit of criticism or unsolicited advice.
You weren't put here to please everyone.
Not at all. Trust your vision. Trust your intentions. Ignore the noise. Keep improving. Opinions don't do the work you do, so don't let them stop you.
And it acknowledges that not everyone will like the changes or support your new boundaries.
Right. Growth can mean walking alone for a bit, standing firm, and that's okay. What feels right for you is what matters, not what others understand.
The world rewards results, not explanations. So focus on your routine, your habits.
Exactly. And as you stay committed, the external voices tend to fade anyway. Doubt shrinks when progress grows. And remember, often others' opinions are just reflections of their own fears or limits. Don't take it personally.
Honor your own path. That's where the strength is.
Yes. Focus is a daily choice. Where are you putting your energy? Shut out the noise, ignore the irrelevant opinions, let your actions be your answer. Greatness requires that kind of focus.
Okay, now, handling struggles alone and growing from them. This sounds tough, but powerful. Why is it presented this way?
The idea is that real, deep growth often starts when you face your pain head-on, learn to navigate it yourself, rather than immediately running for external help for everything. The most important life lessons, it suggests, often come from surviving our own storms, overcoming things independently.
Because no one feels it exactly like you do.
Right. And relying too heavily on others can actually prevent you from building your own resilience. Those moments when you feel like quitting, but you push through anyway, that's where significant growth happens.
So stop pretending, stop just talking about the struggle, stop complaining, and start facing it.
Pretty much. Now, asking for help is okay, obviously, when you truly need it. But the book argues some struggles need that silent, personal processing time to really understand the lessons they hold.
Enduring the storm makes you stronger than avoiding it.
Exactly. Depending too much on others to fix your internal stuff just delays you building the strength you need. You always have a choice in how you respond to difficulty. That's where your power lies.
Sitting with the discomfort, trying to understand what it's telling you.
Yes. Facing your truth alone during those hard times. That can lead to profound change. Handling struggles in silence means choosing strength over seeking sympathy, using the pain as fuel.
Taking control where you can. Building mental toughness.
Encouraging yourself. Staying focused even when things feel chaotic. The independence you build by getting through things on your own becomes a really strong foundation.
It suggests asking yourself, what would my stronger future self do right now?
Yeah, and then acting that way. Growth comes from facing the dark stuff, the uncertainty, but keeping moving, taking ownership. It's a personal battle.
So that silent, consistent effort, even through the tough times, builds grit, turns struggle into strength.
That's the core idea, which leads us to letting your results show what you've been doing. What's the power there? This is presented as the mindset of someone who's past needing to convince people with words. The people doing the most are often talking the least. Their energy goes into the work.
Because talking about it doesn't actually create the results. Action does.
Right. People remember what you finish, what you build, not just your initial plans. So focus on being effective, not just sounding impressive.
There's a discipline in working without needing the spotlight, isn't there? And a quiet confidence comes from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Focus on the actions, the tangible outcomes. What did you actually get done today? Not just how did things look?
And that consistent daily work, even when it's boring, that's what leads to the undeniable results over time.
Yes. And acknowledging the lasting results take time, sacrifice, maybe being misunderstood for a while. But you're working for your own improvement, building something real, not just for applause.
The real win is when you don't even feel the need to talk about it anymore. Your focus is just on the doing.
Exactly. And those results, they can command respect, even from people who doubted you before. Quietly level up, let the results make the noise.
Prioritize action over explanation. Trust the quiet effort pays off.
That's it. Which brings us to the final point. Winning big without announcing a single move. What's the significance there?
The book frames this as like a sign of maturity, real focus, understanding that genuine success doesn't need a trumpet fanfare.
Yeah, it observes that the quiet ones, the focused ones, they're often the ones making the biggest waves. Announcing goals gives that premature reward. We keep coming back to that.
Right, it takes the edge off the hunger to achieve it.
Exactly. Winners, it suggests, keep their work under wraps. Let the results deliver the message. The internal satisfaction is the primary reward.
Working from purpose, not pressure.
Yes, that's powerful. And when you win in silence, you tend to handle success with more humility, too. You enjoy the rewards privately with peace.
And silence protects your next moves, too, maybe. Keeps interference or doubt at bay.
Good point. Yeah, it builds self-reliance, internal motivation, accountability. You're more in control.
Winning in silence teaches you to trust the process, to value the grind itself.
Definitely. It leads to deeper growth. And those victories, achieved without needing the world to cheer you on, they just feel more complete, more yours.
Stay silent and dangerous, as they say. Do the work others avoid. Build your life through action, not talk.
Precisely. Real success, the kind built through consistent, unseen effort. It shows up strong, it's undeniable, announcements become totally unnecessary.
Wow. Okay, so bringing this all together, this deep dive into never tell people what you do, really underscores the massive impact of silent work.
Yeah, consistent daily action, focusing inward, not outward, trusting your own pace.
And letting the results ultimately speak for themselves.
And for you listening who wanted that efficient knowledge, those aha moments, hopefully these principles give you a clear path to achieving your goals without all the extra noise and pressure.
So here's a final thought to chew on. Think about one area in your life right now, just one. Where could you apply this focus and silence win in public idea starting today? What's one thing you could maybe stop talking about, stop seeking validation for, and just quietly start doing? Really reflect on the transformation that might follow when you shift focus from talk to consistent, quiet action.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. You send us the sources you're curious about, and we dig in, pull out the key insights.